What's up, everybody? Welcome to Keeping It 9450, Codename WBB. I'm your host, Daniel Artest. KDot with me per the usual. Today, we are back again, episode 5 of our WNBA season preview series, Training Ground. And we're going to be taking another in-depth look at each team. And we're going to start off with the Indiana Fever, a team that had a few rough seasons, KDot, but looking to turn things around in a big way, from their new head coach to their new rookies and returning veterans. We're just going to break it all the way down. KDot, the question I got to ask for you, real quick, I got to ask this question to set off the show. Yo, what challenges will Aliyah Boston face as the number 1 overall pick for this Indiana Fever team, and how does this Fever roster and recent changes impact their chances of making the playoffs? Do you think they have an outside chance of getting to the playoffs? We see the videos, we see everything that they're doing. It looks like they're engaged and everything like that. So what's your thoughts?
Hey, yo, what up? What it is? What's popping? I'm going to get right into it. I think that this roster, as I look at it, is a pretty solid roster. The only thing that concerns me, again, is when you have rosters of this makeup that goes year in and year out, right? We're talking about the WNBA. So it's not promised that you're going to have solid rosters every year, right? I think with Aliyah Boston in particular, the number 1 overall pick, I truly believe that the transition from the college game to the pro game is going to be seamless. We've seen how important she was as an impact player in college and how much of a magnet she was from an offensive standpoint, because of course, when you're quadruple teamed and quintuple teamed, because sometimes it will be 5 players on her, that's something that you can look at and be like, Jesus Christ, like, what is going on here? But from a pro standpoint, I think that Aliyah Boston and her addition to this Indiana Fever roster is definitely something interesting for me to want to look forward to. As a fan, I'll just be completely honest with you. As a fan, I've never really rocked with the Indiana Fever only because of how gritty they've always been. Coach Lynn Dunn has always done an incredible job. Even when Coach Dunn decided to hang up the head coaching jacket and go into the front office, and when Stephanie White, took over the reins, when you have a generational talent and a Hall of Famer in Tamika Catchings, there's a lot of things that this Indiana Fever organization did that as a fan, I just couldn't stand, because they kept winning. They just kept winning, and they won in such a blue collar way. I think that the new regime, after years of trying to figure it out, I think the new regime of this Indiana Fever team and looking at this roster, I can see remnants of that 2015 finals team, honestly. Now, that's not to say that they will make the finals or they will even make the playoffs this year, but just looking at the roster makeup, it really looks promising. And I truly believe that this Indiana Fever team is going to be a lot more competitive than they were last year, of course. Of course, they had the coaching change early into the season. And now with the new head coach and Christie Sides, I'm very eager to see what she's able to do with this roster. But I like the names that are on this roster. To me, they're very balanced. They have shooting, they have scoring, they have big presence, they have perimeter defensive presence. I think one of the most underrated signings is the Maya Caldwell signing. She did a great job when she signed on last season with the Atlanta Dream. And I truly believe that Maya Caldwell could be one of those players that can change the kind of like the landscape and add more firepower to the perimeter. We already talked about Lexi Hall and how much she's improved, especially with her AU season. She did a phenomenal job, and I think that will transition over to the summer as well. Looking at the roster, it looks promising. It looks really promising. But again, I say all that to say, I'm not going to jump the gun and automatically crown them as finals or playoff team worthy. They still got a lot of things to figure out. But I'll tell you this, they won't be boring to watch. I will tell you that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I just want to talk about Aliyah real quick. And listen, the Fever, right? They haven't made the playoffs in about 7 years. And they needed a franchise player to help move this franchise in a positive direction. Aliyah Boston, she is very talented. She has the intangibles to be that foundational piece. We've seen what she did in college, doing her thing, winning the Naismith Player of the Year, two-time Defensive Player of the Year as well. I think that you're right though, KDot. It's going to be a challenge getting the Fever to the playoffs, or even trying to help them get out that basement spot. I would love to see them improve and actually get to don't be 12. If you want to be 10th or 9th or whatever, I would love to see them make some noise. But what's your thoughts on Aliyah Boston though? Like her potential to make a immediate impact on this Fever team.
Yeah, I think her impact is definitely going to be shown early. I just like the understanding and dynamic of an Aliyah Boston, Nalissa Smith front court. That's something that's very intriguing to me because Nalissa Smith, she isn't too much of a back to the basket. She's definitely perimeter oriented. She gives me so much. And again, this isn't a full on comparison. This is almost a mold, if you will. She gives me the mold of a Candace Parker where she's on the perimeter. She knows how to gauge the defense and suck the defense in on the perimeter, but then also have the rebounding prowess and the back to the basket prowess of what Candace Parker was able to do. If you've seen Candace Parker her rookie year, she was doing pretty much everything on the perimeter, down on the block. And I feel like Nalissa Smith can have that type of mold. Definitely not going to be Candace Parker, if you will, but that mold where she stays connected on the outside and you have to guard her on the perimeter, but she's quick enough to hit you on the dribble and also big enough to go back to the basket and actually get a bucket in mismatches. And with Aliyah Boston having that inside presence, a true five, someone who can actually really stretch her game out to 12 to 15 feet out. Listen, she's trained with Tim Duncan. There are remnants of Tim Duncan all over Aliyah Boston's game. And that's something that you cannot take away from Aliyah Boston because from a fundamental standpoint, she has all of the tools, the footwork, the cerebral aspect of it, the overall potential from a defensive standpoint. She's actually able to switch on some of those cross matches. So it's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, for some teams to look at Aliyah Boston and try to put her out on an island because I feel like she can hold fair and hold her ground from that standpoint. And not to mention, Nalissa Smith is a pretty good defensive player as well. So even help side will be just as great. And that's why I say this Indiana Fever team is going to be really fun to watch, even if they don't win a lot of games. And even if they do surprise a lot of people and win a lot of games, it's still going to be something really interesting to see. But I think Aliyah Boston is going to make an immediate impact. And we're going to see her presence felt in game one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that Aliyah Boston is going to do very well as a WNBA player. No more of that triple team, quadruple teams. No more even the referees ganging up on her. So I just feel like everybody just be up guarding her on the court and everything. But let's talk about the other young talent that they got. They got Grace Berger, Taylor Mikesell, and also veterans that's returning to the team, and Erica Wheeler, and also mainstay Kelsey Mitchell as well. This team is not as bad when you really look at the roster. They're not that bad as a team. They got a little bit of everything. They're just really young. And also, definitely would love to see how Destiny Henderson is going to look in season 2. We all love her game. And when she played, she did pretty well. She was able to run the offense really well and stuff. But yeah, man, the Fever, to be honest, I think they're heading in the right direction. Yeah, they might struggle and get some wins, but I think that, like I said, they look better on paper than what the mainstream media is going to put them at whenever the media be doing their thing or whatever. I'll say this, KDot. The Indiana Fever probably 1 year, maybe 2 years away from being a playoff team. They just keep building and keep developing and stuff because I feel like that Aliyah Boston pick, man, definitely pushes them in the right direction. My whole thing is this, though, KDot. If you knew that you were going to cut Emily Inkster, why not just draft Letitia Meaher at that spot, KDot? That's the thing that still make me scratch my head. You know what I'm saying? That would have been perfect. I feel like what Emily Inkster brings to the table, I feel like Letitia Meaher brings it with a more athletic version. Man, it would have been perfect for that. You know what I'm saying? Especially from a player development type of thing. And yeah, but that's still going to be one of the head scratches right there. And I think that the Fever is going to regret that move in a couple, honestly. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we said it in the draft show. I think the A plus was taken away. That plus was taken away from the A because I truly felt that at that seventh spot, you could have gone Bree Beal or Letitia Meaher. Now, Letitia Meaher, I think, fares a little bit better from a roster makeup standpoint for the Indiana Fever. But going either way, I felt like it would have been the perfect draft. They didn't, and it's okay. I truly believe that with Grace Berger, one thing that I want to expound on, Grace Berger has been very instrumental in Indiana basketball. And hopefully there isn't any, I would say, pressure, if you will. But I think Grace Berger will do an incredible job, especially serving as a backup point guard, maybe even in the 2 spot if they go small ball lineup. So I can see Destiny Henderson, Grace Berger backcourt. There's tons of knowledge and high IQ basketball in that backcourt if you look at it on paper and based off of film. I think that Destiny Henderson, Grace Berger backcourt is actually, to me, it's pretty scary. But I truly believe that this Indiana Fever team can turn a lot of heads, but that all falls back on the coaching staff and what Coach Christie Sides will be able to do. And all we have to do is sit back and evaluate as the season begins and as it progresses throughout the summer.
Yeah, I agree. We shall see. It's going to be a fun season watching them play. Like I said, a lot of potential with that young talent, and especially going in a new direction with that coach, Christie Sides, and then Aliyah Boston with the potential to be something special. It's going to be a lot of fun in Indiana. Looking forward to it because I actually be visiting this summer again, so looking forward to going to some games and seeing how they play. But yeah, with that being said, thank you for listening to Keeping It 9450. Codename WBB. This is episode 5 of our Training Ground preseason series. I'm Daniel Artest. That's KDot right there. Love is love. Peace.
Peace out.